podcaster on The Rest is Politics in the UK. Alastair, where do you think, I'm thinking of you as a political campaigner, where do you think Donald Trump got it right in this election campaign, and where did Kamala Harris go wrong?
Well, listen, you talk about tens of millions of people who've got their own reasons for voting in a certain way. And the question you've asked, historians are going to write about it, frankly, for the rest of the time, because this is one of the most extraordinary election victories and comebacks, I think, in any country in history. What did he get right? I think he managed to speak to and give a sense of speaking for the anger that people feel about the state of their lives, the state of their country. I think he weaponized it in his usual way, not least helped by Elon Musk, but also by the way that he campaigns, which is a very unique form of campaigning, which I think a lot of people like me, find really distasteful and unpleasant and full of lies and racism and misogyny and so forth. But I think the Democrats have to really, really look deep into how they've managed to lose this. Lots of reasons for that. The economy, clearly, you look at some of the economic data and a lot of it looks good, but in people's lives, they didn't necessarily feel it. Joe Biden, he went when he went, but then there was no time really for the kind of contest that might have allowed somebody really to emerge and give a sense to the public of who and what they were. I mean, it's just, you've asked me a question that's sort of, we're all going to be thinking about this for a very, very long time, because I think this is one of the most consequential elections of our lifetime. And I'm not sure, well, I'm pretty sure that the consequences are far from being good. But in terms of how he won, why he won, there are some very, very big questions for progressives and people on the left and centre of politics in all this.
Former Prime Minister Tony Blair speaking recently here in Washington, D.C. at an event, he said, for progressives, we haven't done a good job of naming and calling out grievances and saying what they are. Is that something that you see as a shortcoming for Kamala Harris's campaign and, well, for progressives really across the world?
Well, look, I think Kamala Harris fought she fought a good campaign. I mean, when I say that, you have to judge a campaign by the outcome, and she lost, and therefore Trump fought a good campaign. The Democrats didn't, but I think it'd be hard to fault the bulk of the campaign. I think she struggled to somehow to marry being continuity, part of the Biden administration, with being a candidate of change. I think that there is a sense, you talked about how progressives deal with populism. One of the guests we had on the podcast tonight is a former colleague of mine, Peter Hyman, who's been touring on the campaign trail, particularly going to Trump rallies and talking to people. And he's been telling me for some time that he thought Trump was going to win, because he had a sense that, I guess the way to put it is that a lot of people felt that the Democrats were talking about them. They weren't necessarily talking to them. And I think what Trump has done very, very successfully, I hate it, but you have to acknowledge he's done it, he's sort of combined populism, polarization, post-truth politics in a way that has made a lot of people feel motivated by it, comfortable with it, and feeling that he offers them something which the other side doesn't. And the next decade for the progressives right across the world, this is going to affect politics right around the world, is how do you deliver the kind of lives and the kind of progress that people want in their lives, but at the same time, you don't want to do the same sort of politics, but you've got to work out better ways of dealing with this kind of politics.
And given your connections to the Labour Party in the UK, how do you think they now build connections with Donald Trump in the White House? What's that relationship going to be like?
Well, two of the other guests we had on tonight, one was Kim Darroch, who you may remember, Christian, was the British ambassador under Boris Johnson, and Donald Trump in his first time effectively got him fired. We also spoke to the current UK ambassador about the very, very question. And to be fair to them, I was at the DNC in Chicago, and the British embassy there had a really pretty impressive operation, but they had just as an impressive operation at the Republic Convention as well. They've been very, very clear about sort of making sure they're building links with both sides. They've built those links. Keir Starmer had that meeting with Trump. He phoned Trump after the failed assassination attempt. basically what the government has to do, as every government in the world will have to do, is to recognise that Donald Trump's going to be the president, work out the issues that really matter to him and how they relate to the issues that really matter to us, and then build the networks at every single level. Nobody's going to pretend that in any normal circumstances, Donald Trump and Keir Starmer would necessarily, be best friends playing golf every weekend. But I think that Keir Starmer has to recognise, as every British Prime Minister has done, with this special relationship that we all talk about so much, that in a way you've just got to work at it. You've got to work at it at every level of your government.
Alastair Campbell, at least you're going to have a lot to talk about, and the rest is politics, aren't you, for the next 4 years? Thank you very much indeed
for
joining us.